This video is going to show you solo GM getting platinum rank and how to efficiently solo farm this week's GM, which is Devil's Lair. The adept weapon to get is Warden's Law. It's important that you get the god roll that you want for whatever that you're doing with the gun, especially for PvE. It's a very important weapon, and this is a good chance to farm it and to farm Ascendant Shards, exotics, or whatever you might need to do for GMs. So, first things first, we're going to kill the initial overload that you see. This is critical that you do kill this overload, right? So you need to understand how platinum rating works for Destiny 2 in GM Nightfalls. And I'm going to explain it to you now because there's still, after all this time, people still don't understand how platinum rating works for GMs. To be fair though, to them, there's no in-game tooltip to tell you how platinum rating works anyways. You go and find it. Is there any tutorials? Is there anything anywhere to tell you about how anything works? Nothing. Nowhere. So I can understand why they don't understand how platinum rewards works. So I'm going to tell you now how it works and how you can play it to your advantage. So platinum rating works. It has no impact on score. Score has no impact on platinum rating. That's just for leveling purposes and triumphs and stuff like that. However, the platinum rating is based on how many champions you kill in a GM. Certain GMs have more champs than others. Devil's Lair has quite a few. What seems to happen is when a GM has a lot of champs, you can sometimes do a trick where you stop champions from spawning, or that they despawn, or that you flat out skip a champion even though that champ has appeared. So why is this a thing? I don't know, but it's been in the game a long time. So for example, Lightblade, you can skip 2 champions in that, so you'll get platinum rating. There's all sorts of champ skips, and I was sort of the guy to be doing champ skips way back when. I used to always discover this champ skip, that champ skip. But what you need to understand is, if there's a GM where you can skip a champ, it can be any champ that you want. So why skip the first one? Why skip an easy champ? This is not critical thinking. Skip the champ that's awkward. Right, think of Devil's Lair. People say, oh, Devil's Lair is easy. Alright then, I'll ask you the question. Which is the most difficult champ? Now I want you to think a sec and just tell me. I'll give you 10 seconds. Think, what's the easiest champ? What's the hardest champ? Right, I'll tell you what the hardest champion is. The hardest champion in this is at the boss, the final overload to kill. Right, so it stands to reason that you want to skip him, which is exactly what I'm going to do. Rather than you skipping a easy champ, there's no point in that. There's no time gain. Because if it takes you 10 seconds to kill the first champ, then you kill him. Whereas the last champ takes a long time to kill because you need to do ad clear. That can be a 2 to 3 minute time saving because you've picked a different champ to skip. And you still get platinum rank indefinitely. As long as you kill every other single champion in this, you will get it. So that's why you don't skip any champs other than the one that I'll show you at the boss fight. So you want to use a super in this room before the free waves, just to get your super out, because you're going to get another one. When you're playing solo, don't sit on supers. In a fire team, right, you do get plenty of supers, but solo you get even more, because all the enemies are yours to kill. There's nobody to interfere with your killing, which means your super, you're going to get as many supers as you could want. I've just used my super and I've got it back. Look at it. It's 80%, 90%. So use plenty of supers, because I'm going to strategize to kill another one. So you need to strategize your super rotations, which is critical for when you're outside on the tank section to get a quickish clear. So we'll pulse near the door where the captain spawns in, and then pre-fire Stormchaser to kill that captain as quickly as possible. We get pushed quite hard here, but we are playing a little bit more riskier. We'll get a stun on this overload here, then we'll use super right away. We haven't got debuff, but that's fine. 1 Chaos Reach Geomag Stabilizer super would kill, which that's obviously what we're using. Other weapons, obviously the Monarque, because it's best in slot for overload champs. A barrier ore rifle, that's fantastic because it's got under, over and vorpal weapon, which stack. It means that you melt barrier shields in no time. And Stormchaser aggressive frame linear. The reason for Stormchaser is because it activates rapid fire ranger quicker, which is a debuff to targets, When you're 25 meters away, you will debuff them with precision hits. But one shot of Stormchaser will proc Rapid Fire Ranger. So Stormchaser does fantastic in this. It is overcharged linear. It isn't Arc Surge because it's Solar Surge and Strand Surge. That's fine. In GMs, you need to start learning that you don't have to match the Surge to be effective in the GM. Sometimes it's better to run a class that's not active to the Surge because I don't give a damn what that mod says. This is an Arc GM to me and always was. And Arc subclasses do well in this. Why? Because Arc's good for Arc Lair, it's good for overloads, it's good for damage at a distance, and Curse Reach is probably the best class for this. You could get a quicker clear with Assassin's Carl Hunter or the Strand Titan melee build, you would do. But I'm saying this is the best ranged class for Devil's Lair, Solo GM, hands down. There isn't nothing better, I don't think. I don't think. If it is fun to people, that's different. It's always fun to me playing Arc Warlock. Some people might not think that because it's been in the meta quite some time. There's some people that want Stasis to be, they want to see it more in vids. That'll come when it gets buffed. I've already showcased Stasis and when what it's like right now in the game, and it's all right, Stasis, for certain things. But certain things it's not as well. The light subclasses do a better job than what Stasis does, even right now. Stasis will be getting a buff next season, so that's when we'll explore more Stasis stuff. Right now, no. This is how to effectively solo farm this on an Arc Warlock, I believe. This is why we're standing here as well. The champion spawns in once most of the hive enemies are killed. Right? Once we get barrier down, we then want to push up a little bit because now you're going to have a bunch of Arc Shields. We'll get a good heal and rift down for Arc Souls. Try and get amplified as well. I think we are. That's right. That means our Arc Soul is going to be overcharged as well. This Captain pushes, but we accounted for that. A Prox Ward finisher. Proximity Ward's really good. Make sure that you use it on your class piece. I'll probably have a dim build in the description or whatever, or the comments. I always do them now anyways. But we'll get a good pulse nade. Well, we meant to. Unfortunately, that didn't hit. That's fine though. But your focus is the Arc Shields. If you want to get a good clear on the free wave section, a good time, 10 minutes or less, then don't play around with the Arc Shields. Push them. Use your linear, use your aggressive frame because it will melt them down like so. Does really good damage because of rapid fire range with it. And just because of the nature. In my opinion, for this season at least, the aggressive frames are better than the precision frames right now because of the rapid fire ranger thing. So you can tell you're in the next phase because you get the shanks. We'll just weaken this sniper at the back. I think if you kill him, you just get another one on that perch anyways. I can't mind if I do kill him or not. I don't think we do. We don't before that phase starts. This phase is critical, phase 3. So you need to be here behind this tanker, right? And the adds are susceptible to jolt and pulse nade. Your pulse nade is going to do so much work for you. And if you strafe bow behind the tanker like this is a better place to stand to get it done quicker. However, right at the back of the map where I was before is safer and a little bit easier for people, but it's longer. It's going to add 2 or 3 minutes to your run. So I'm just letting you know, this place is better as long as you know what you're doing. Like I'm going to do a Curse Reach here because we have no need for another Curse Reach until later on anyways. And anytime you want to use your super, Curse Reach super should be used on high priority targets, champions, or Arc Shields. Anything else, your bow should be doing the work. Don't use your auto rifle either, because this auto rifle I've got on is a utility auto. It's for breaking shields. That's what it's for, and that's what I'll use it. I have no desire to use the auto because the run would just be slowed if I start pulling out the auto. It's just going to do no damage to the enemies. The Monarque's just going to one-shot all your enemies for you. We get phase 3 out of 3. No need to clear out the rest of the enemies. Pick up all heavy ammo drops if you need. I'm max on heavy. And that's that section done. Sub 10 minutes. That was a really good clear for the free waves room. So as far as that, I'm happy with that. This little room here, you just want to take out the adds to your right first, then the double sniper. Be careful that you don't get double sniped by them. So use the Monarque, of course. Take them out as quickly as you can. Then we'll get a stun from the back of the map so that we get rapid fire ranger. Always be thinking about rapid fire ranger. Have a debuffed. Have a debuffed. Am I standing too close? See, 25 meters is the distance. I sort of know that distance. Right, I know that distance without pulling out Darcy and looking at the meterage and stuff. I know that. I know the meterage in game. But some of you might not. Some of you might think, oh, I'm a bit too close or I'm not too close. But just make sure that when you're engaging with champions that you're far enough away to get rapid fire ranger to proc. Which outside is not a problem because you will be. You'll be 40 meters plus. Make sure that you get a pulse nade as soon as when you come out of this section because the adds spawn in as you run. So if you can get a good pulse nade off and threaten the enemy, this will put them on the back foot, making this little bit a little easier. Play to the right hand side of your the window that you can see, and use that as cover. And just use your strafe bow. Just keep strafing with the bow, so you do damage. You strafe behind cover, and then you barely get hit like that. And that then just deals with this a little bit easier. The more passive you play with the barrier bit, the barrier shield with all the adds, the harder it is because you'll just keep getting naded and naded and those enemies will be tethered by that champ, making it more difficult. So the more aggressive you play on that little section there that you've just saw, the easier it is. So now we'll start killing some of the enemies, the snipers to be precise, because the more of them are alive, the more of them that will shoot. What you need to understand with snipers in this game, enemy snipers, they have a range drop off. So you know, like a hand cannon has range drop off for us. Well, their sniper has range drop off, but in a different way. It means that 50, 60 meters, they can't attack you. They just sit there. But once you start to push within a certain radius, they will start to use their Queen Breaker's bow. You can sort of take advantage of that and know when to fight them when you need to strafe or when you don't need to strafe. So the tank section, we need to know how to do it quickly-ish. Take the adds to your left. We took out a couple of snipers already. We're going to push up to this area here first because there's an overload that's already spawned. It's the overload that we need to kill. If you don't kill the overload, he is then brought over to the next phase, which the next phase is 2 brigs and a tank and then another overload that spawns and stuff like that. So if you can kill an overload right now, this will help you out later. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're just going to wait for that to happen though. So we're sitting on the top of this lorry, right? We're just going to sit on the top of it. And here we go, the overload is pushed. This is a really good angle. And then we'll get our stun with our Monarque. It's to be noted that the snipers at the back of the map where the tank spawns can't hit you from here. So you're safe. You're safe-ish as long as you got a rift. And then you can do your stun damage with the Monarque. I didn't need to jump there, I thought I did, but it's fine. Because I've got the angle, that's because I've stood on the lorry. And then we get this overload kill. That's win-win. Right? That's actually going to be time saved. Because as I push up, which the 2 brigs in the tank spawn in via the line in the distance, the line in the sand mechanic, you're going to see it. Left-hand side, you'll see it. A champion has spawned, or you should be. It should happen. Oh, well, it won't say that yet, because they haven't. But you can see now everything spawns in. So that's based on location. So some enemy spawns are based on percentage of enemies killed. Some of them are based on how far you push up on the map. We need to decide where to use our first super, because as I said before, you get plenty of supers solo. So you may as well strategize a super rotation. Because you've got 3 priority targets. Right, so can we super all 3? No, we can't. Because you're not going to have 3 supers back to back, but we're going to get 2 pretty quick. So the best thing I would say is super 1 brig, which I've done left brig because I like to fight left to take out some of the snipers, the orange bar mages at the back of the map. That's what I'm doing really here. And doing a bit of pre-damage to the tank because that's eventually what we need to do, some damage to the tank as well. But you can see the snipers are easy to take from left. That's why I do that. But I am going to push to right in a minute. Skiff spawns in, which will spawn in an overload, I believe, now. Should do, yeah. So the barrier and there's a barrier and an overload down there now. But it's important to know that the barrier doesn't tether the overload. We can take advantage of that in a minute. Because the reason for that is because the barrier is concerned with tethering the dregs first. Because the barrier caps out at 5 enemies max, or is it 4 or 5 that it can tether. We come over to right for the right side brig. Notice the super that we get off the brig, because it's an orange bar, so you're going to get a lot of super energy fighting the brig. This also means we've isolated the tank away from us. The tank doesn't know where I am right now. Yes, the tank does have a perception of where you are. This is an actual thing. So the tank's de-aggroed at this minute in time. De-aggroed means passive, docile, whatever word you want to use for it. The tank is aggroed. Well, everyone knows when the tank's aggroed when you see the red laser. But right now the tank doesn't really know where I am. It's not even firing at me. This is good because it means I can fight the brig and I've isolated this target away from everything else. What's the point in dancing around with a brig with a tank shooting at you when you can just literally do this? We break the shield off. We'll pull out the Stormchaser to quickly kill the tank. The brig, because we don't want to have to deal with that final assault mode off the brig, really. Just melt down the brig, that's fine. We now have super, but I've seen an opportunity with the overload. Like I said before, the overload down in that valley is not tethered by the barrier, which is actually good for us, so we can do another optimization of killing this overload now. Better to kill now than later. Plus, we have still isolated. The tank is now perceptive to where I am, because you'll notice the arc blasts. That's just because I showed myself, but I had to do that to get my pulse nade off. Right, because pulse nade, your nades, the angle of when you throw a nade is based on sort of how far away you are, and if you've jumped. That's why you'll see people who are good with nades and stuff, they'll jump if it's a longer nade that they need to throw, or what have you. Or they'll use momentum of their character to help the nade go further and stuff like this. We debuff the tank and then use Curse Reach. This will almost kill the tank, which is really good. Another skiff will spawn in with a bunch of enemies. Just be careful the skiff doesn't kill you, but you should really out-tank the skiff, especially with double arc resist, so it should be fine. Your goal at this point is to multitask between the tank and any snipers or any dregs or any fallen enemies that surround the tank at the back of the map. If you don't do that, these enemies will be an issue to you later, because this strategy is based on you not killing the barrier until later. Which, what you need to understand is if you kill the tank before the barrier then goes to where the tank lives, which isn't good, because then the barrier will then tether all those dregs that you were lazy to kill earlier on, will then be tethered, making it a little bit more tougher to deal with the barrier. So multitask, right? Kill the tank from here, which when you debuff tank, the poison damage is going to do damage to all the tank basically, which means Monarque's really good for that. Let's watch the barrier. Look at what the barrier does now. So there's a shift. Tank's dead. Barrier is aware of that and goes to where the tank is. They block the exit. That's what champs do. They'll block the exit of a place. And I've seen this time and time again of all the GMs I've played, which, may I add, is a lot. So I've tried killing champs in different rotations, or doing this or doing that, in many GMs, not just Devil's Lair, in lots of them. So yeah, that's what, look at now. So the barrier is now tethering all those dregs at the back that we've missed. Not that we've missed per se, but it starts to be a bit of a nuisance, if you know what I mean. But what we're going to do is take barrier on left. Eventually we end up doing that. Just what you need to know now is there is an overload at the back of the map, which I don't recommend taking that overload out right here, right now. I could, but because of the crit spot and stuff, you would end up slowly taking out the overload, and it wouldn't be in your best interest, really. Like from there or something. I could do, but it's better to not do it like that. So we wanted to deal with this arc shield. This arc shield cost me in the tank section, I would say what cost me time would be the arc shield. This one right here being annoying to me. We'll deal with these marauders right now. Notice the next line in the sand mechanic is the red box in front of me. You can see it clear as day. So don't push up past that, because then you'll spawn in an overload. This barrier needs to be dealt with before you spawn in the next overload, lest the barrier will probably tether the next overload, making it more difficult. Because barriers are more passive than overloads. When you've got a barrier at full HP, the barrier just wants to go behind cover when there's lots of enemies, whereas an overload will push. Right? So, and if the overload's tethered, then it's game over for you, because then you've got to really push that barrier, and that's where you lose your time, because you're dancing around with all them tethered enemies, which you don't want. That is the thing that you don't want to have. We'll deal with the Arc Shield. We'll use Stormchaser for that. Use your Stormchaser quite a lot. Don't be too liberal with it. Just use it. We've spawned in the next overload, which is we want to deal with the overload from left. So right there. I know that this overload always pushes to the left, so that's why I'm dealing with him here. The next most annoying thing right now is the Arc Shield. So my plan is to actually super this overload and then switch to that one, but he teleports. So that was fun. That's fine though. We'll just use a bit of Stormchaser. See, that's what makes Stormchaser so good, is because it's a free burst fire weapon, but the first shot of the burst will take down the shield, and the two other shots will be crit damage or body shot damage, meaning that you can take down the captains, the Arc captains, so quickly with this weapon, meaning there's no need for a machine gun for this. Stormchaser's too good. I mean, there is a need for it and there isn't. Like, you've saw me run it with machine gun time and time again. You've saw me do it with Thunderlord, 7-7 Sword, and all sorts of different machine guns. So, yeah, there is a need for it, but I think a meta loadout, because this is a meta run that I'm using right now, I think Stormchaser's best in slot. Or any aggressive frame linear, but it makes sense to have Stormchaser on because there's Arc Shields. I know there's no Arc Surge, but it doesn't matter about the Arc Surge or the Stand Surge and all that stuff. You can still play the GM and do just fine damage. You don't need to match surges. I actually don't really like the surge system anyways, and I wish they would just go back to burns and have identity GMs. So this GM has this burn. It was always better like that. Glassware I identify as a void GM. Devil's Lair I identify as an Arc GM. Lightblade is an Arc GM, and etc, right? But now it's all over the place. Like, the surges really don't. I mean, I suppose it would mess it up now that we've got Stasis and Strand, because you would never get Stasis and Strand on there. So I understand that a little bit, but the way the surges are, it's kind of, you kind of like going against a subclass for too long of a period of time. If you have a season that just goes between certain surges, that's too long to play without a certain class. For one class to be less effective or something. So they haven't got it right, but I've asked and asked for them to change this. I don't see any change happening until Final Shape with anything GM wise or modifier wise, which that's something that needs to happen. The Overlord at the back was stunned too soon, and all he wanted to do was kept going to cover, so we broke down our losses with that, and then let the Overlord re-aggro on us. You do that by just not stunning the Overlord, just shoot your gun a little bit, and then we'll go to our secondary zone, which is here, and then we'll deal with the Overlord. So, with the boss fight, well, you said you're going to do it in 5 minutes, so how do we do that? Well, you need to make sure that you've got at least 16-17 shots minimum, I would say. You could do it with less, but then it's less effective, of course. But around about that. Obviously, you're going to get heavy on the floor, but I wouldn't worry too much about the heavy you get on the floor, because you're not going to need that much heavy anyways. The 16 shots will be enough. And essentially, you're going to just farm supers and get to the servitor. Your goal is to get to the servitor phase every phase as soon as you can. So I'm going to come up top, which I get stuck on this pole here, which does cost me a bit of time. And what we're going to do is do some Stormchaser damage to get rapid fire range approx, so the target is debuffed. Then we'll jump up in the air, do Chaos Reach to get the boss to servitor phase. We'll jump over these adds. The only reason why there's adds here is because my rotation for damage was slightly slower than what it should have been, because I got stuck on a pole. But that's that's fine. It's worked out. It doesn't really matter right now. So this captain always pushes right after damage, so we can kill him. But other than that, there's no other adds you really need to kill on this phase. Maybe a couple of the shotgun dregs. And I'll say the reason why for that is because those sometimes push in here when there's a lot of enemies alive. And the way I'm doing it, there is going to be a lot of enemies alive because we're brute forcing through the phases. So we're already coming to phase 2 now. So our only goal right now is the void shields. This is another reason why the Monarch's best in slot, because there's lots of overloads and there's void shields. A lot of them. Well, there's 8, isn't there, at the boss. So it just pays to have the Monarch on. Plus you're going to proc Rapid Fire Ranger and that stuff. It's by no means a weak bow. I know Wishenda's Wishenda right now, but when overloads are a priority, Le Monarque is better than Wishenda. When barriers are a priority, then Wishenda is better than Le Monarque, obviously. We just took out a couple of the ads there because we were getting nearly quite a bit, but that's fine. We've got our second super, so this is obviously what we're doing next. So we're just going to kill this final servitor, and then we're going to use downstairs strategy for rapid fire ranger debuff and then instant damage with super. So this is what's going to happen. Curse Reach is going to save you on heavy ammo. That's why you don't need much heavy ammo, because this strategy is based all around you using Curse Reach and debuffing targets and getting maximum damage out with geomags. That's what it's all about, really. There's plenty of ads still alive, but we don't want to touch them because we're not looking to do ad clear, because that's just going to add time to the run. All right, we're not looking to add time to the run. We're just trying to get an efficient solar farm. So we're going to get a healing rift behind this pillar. This is really where I'm going to do my damage. I'm going to do some Stormchaser shots, not too many though, because I'm getting hit from the right. Pop super because you get damage resistance from Chaos Reach. Do as much damage as possible. I needed to retreat though, because the boss teleported and I didn't get the boss quite to servitor phase, which that was my goal. But you need to know when you're overcommitting, and I actually went past already overcommitting to that point. So it was like, all right, I need to back up. So we'll back up and then go again. But there's one ad here. Actually, no, this is the next spawn of enemies, which on this phase, on phase 2, these enemies always do come down here. So it's just that wave. They need to be killed anyways, because on phase 3 they need to be gone. So we'll fight from top a little bit. Well, we'll redirect the ads, because they think I'm upstairs right now, apart from those ads there. But this just means that we can get safe damage in to get to servitor phase. We got to servitor phase, that's good. This is where the champs spawn in. So like I said earlier, because of platinum rating, you have one free ticket to skip a champion. Which champ you going to skip? Oh, I'll just skip the first one because it's easiest. No, you won't skip the first one. You'll skip the last one because he's the hardest and he requires ads to be killed. Therefore, he's the toughest. It blows my mind people still don't really understand the platinum rank. I understand that there's some people don't really play GMs. You know, they play more PvP or they play more raids, and they only play GMs sometimes, so they don't really understand. But it's like, this has been in the game a long time, and you can do it. It's there. You have a free ticket, so use it on the file one. It's just because the file overload likes to hide, and he costs you time. Whereas the first overload costs no time. Well, it costs 10 seconds. 10 to 15 seconds is what the first overload in the GM costs. Whereas this overload can cost you up to 3 minutes. So which one would you rather pick? It's not this overload I'm on about. It's the last one who you can't see. We'll get a stone. This overload we do need to kill for plat, I believe. I haven't tested not killing him though. I haven't tested if you can skip two overloads. But you can definitely skip one because we killed the first one. But now we just need to kill the final servitors. We need a total of exactly three Stormchaser shots. We need no more than 3 shots. So I've got 5. So I may as well burn down the servitors, because my only interest now is to get to DPS. So we're going to go down below. We need a healing rift for this, unless you will die if you don't healing rift. Healing rift behind the pillar again. All Stormchaser shots. Do your strafe in your rift as well. And then pop super. And that will then kill the boss because he's debuffed. and the amount of damage you're putting out will actually kill him. That was the solar farm on this. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.